turned over a new year. This is the first day. Now, the first day and the 8th day are commanded to be set apart convocations. Convocation is a special meeting. So these are to be set apart special days, distinct from the other 7 days or 8 days of Sukkot. So what makes this first day any different than the rest of them? We'll ask about the 8th day when we get to Simchat Torah and Hoshana Rabbah. So Sukkot has been described as many things, and today we get together as we are commanded by our Elohim to do, and we're going to celebrate what's considered to be the most joyous of festivals. Sukkot is known as the Festival of Lights. Hanukkah is also known as the Festival of Lights, but Sukkot is known as the Festival of Lights. In old times, the Levites would actually do this really cool juggling act with poles that had fire on both ends to bring out the light. I mean, it kind of looked like the whole Hawaiian thing going on. So, but it was a really, really special, joyous time. Israel, it actually starts tomorrow. The 27th is a day where Sukkot starts outside of Israel. In Israel, it begins a day later, which makes sense since they're way ahead of time from us. So, it's known as the most joyous festival of the year. But when we consider some of the things that Sukkot represents to us, then we can understand why we have a reason to rejoice. First, if we understand the chronology of the festivals, and we understand that from the time from Hanukkah to this first day of Sukkot, then we will understand that Yahshua was conceived in Kislev, the 25th of Kislev, which is Hanukkah. 9 months later is the 15th of Tishrei, which is Sukkot. So today we would celebrate the birth of Yahshua, the coming of Yahshua. So, but that's not the main thing that we would consider. We have another reason to rejoice because of Yahshua, that today, through Yahshua, we are freed also from the bondage of Egypt. They dwelt in tabernacles when they left Egypt, and today we remember that they dwelt in tabernacles, and we also remember that we are leaving Egypt, but that we've left Egypt through Yahshua, and that we find ourselves within Elohim. So today we rejoice being free from that bondage. Today is also a foreshadowing of our return to the Garden of Eden. That through Yahshua, this whole cycle of things, this whole helical time period will eventually come to an end, and we will begin, as we'll see next week, back to the beginning. So it's a representation of being once again in Eden with our Elohim in that type of covenant that we were to have had all along. So it's something else for us to rejoice. It's getting an idea that here we are again. So we're going to read the command given regarding the Feast of Tabernacles, and then we'll consider some of the points within this. And this is out of Vayikra 23, and we start at verse 34, that Elohim is telling Moses, he says, "Speak unto the children of Israel." Now, if we say that we are established that Elohim prevails in our lives, and we say that we are the children of Israel, saying, "On the 15th day of this 7th month is to be a feast of tabernacles, for 7 days unto Yahweh. On the first day," that's today, "shall be a set-apart convocation. You shall do no manner of servile work. 7 days shall you bring an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. On the 8th day shall be a set-apart convocation unto you, and you shall bring an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. It is a day of solemn assembly. You shall do no manner of servile work. This is a day that's set apart today, this first day of Sukkot. Now, here's an important phrase. These are the appointed seasons of Yahweh. These are not the festivals of the Jews. These are something that Yahweh Elohim has appointed to be done. And we're going to see in a minute that it's not just to be done for a dispensation. But these are the appointed seasons of Yahweh, which you shall proclaim to be set apart convocations, to bring an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, a burnt offering and a meal offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, each on its own day. Think about the drink offering, the water libation, that it was during this period of time that a blind man came to Yahshua and said, heal me. And Yahshua made some mud out of dirt in his slobber, Yahshua's slobber, and put it on his eyes and told him to go wash his eyes in the pool of Siloam. This is the pool where they would go down and draw water for the water libation during Sukkot. So we imagine, we think about the healing processes that take place within our Elohim. The first thing that he saw when the sight was restored was the restoration that comes from Elohim. And our eyes are open today, more than anything else, to understand that restoration, redemption, deliverance from bondage has come through Yahshua, and that we find our place, Makom, and we'll talk more about Makom in a minute, within Elohim. We're surrounded by the Sukkah. We're surrounded by Elohim's hedge of protection. So, beside the Sabbaths of Yahuwah, and beside your gifts, and beside your vows, and beside all your free will offerings which you give unto Yahuwah. Also, on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the fruits of the land, you shall keep the feast of Yahuwah. 7 days on the first day shall be a solemn rest, and on the 8th day will be a solemn rest. So, we think about Shavuot is when the grain was brought in. First fruits were brought in from the field. We think about the bread of life given. But now at Shavuot, we think about the fruits that are gathered. What have been the fruits that we've gathered? Because now we bring those fruits that we've gathered in the name of Yahshua. We bring those before our Elohim to remember what our commandment was, that we be fruitful and multiply. And it's not just an idea of procreation, but it's an idea of taking the word of Elohim to the world and teaching them so that the whole world is able to bear fruit. When you have gathered in the fruits of the land, you shall keep the feast of Yahweh 7 days. On the first day shall be a solemn rest, and on the 8th day shall be a solemn rest. So there's the 8th day. And you shall take you the first day fruit of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, boughs of fig trees, and the willows of the brook. We'll talk about those in a minute. And you will rejoice before Yahweh your Elohim 7 days. The thing is 7 days. And we'll talk about the whole 7-day idea here in a second too. And you shall keep it a feast unto Yahweh 7 days in the year. A whole whopping 7 days out of the year. We can devote 7 days. It is a statute. How long? Forever. In your generations. And you shall keep it in the 7th month. So, it's a statute that is supposed to last forever. It's not a festival of the Jews. It's a festival of Yahweh. If we believe and receive Yeshua, and Yeshua said, until heaven and earth pass away, not a yod or the conch of a yod will be done away with, then what are our responsibilities? That we're still in forever. It's not a dispensation. Okay? You shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are homeborn in Israel shall dwell in booths. that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahuwah your Elohim. So today, we find ourselves as an assembly in the garden, freed from the bondage of death caused by sin. We dwell in the presence of our Elohim. We dwell in the presence of our Elohim. Sukkot is a whole lot more than simply gathering in a tabernacle, gathering in a sukkah, that we are gathered together in the presence of our Elohim. Another name for Elohim is Makom, that means the place, and we gather ourselves within Elohim. There was a rabbi in 14th century Spain, who's called the Ari. It was Ariel Loria, who came up with a concept called Zimzum, not to be confused with the Volkswagen Zoom Zoom. Zimzum, and what this means and what he said was that in order for Elohim to create us, he actually had to make a space within himself for creation to take place. And we understand that we are created within him, that he surrounds us, he indwells in us, and this is the idea of Mashiach, that we are anointed by Yahuwah if we will allow him to do it. We have to believe and receive Yahshua in order to receive the anointing of Yahuwah that is Mashiach. This allows us to open our ears and open our eyes to be able to see and to hear what the Spirit has to tell us. Now, when we consider the 15th day, we're also reminded of the 15th letter of the Aleph Beit, which is Samek. And the first time that we see Samek as the root of a word in Torah is in the word Savov. It's where the river Rishon, Savov, surrounds the land of Havilah, where there is gold. So Samek means to surround. And then we consider the 7th month, which represents to us the Zion. Also the 7 days that we do this. It's the Zion, meaning the protection, nourishment, and rest of Yahuwah. Zion means weapon, but it comes from a root, zan, that means nourishment. It was on the 7th day that Elohim rested. So Zion represents to us the protection, the nourishment, and the rest that comes from Elohim. So in Sukkot, on this 15th day of the 7th month, we are reminded that we are surrounded by the protection, the nourishment, and the rest of Yahuwah, our Elohim. And that this is Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden. That Gan Eden means the hedge of protection. That's what Gan means. Literally, it's a hedge of protection. And that we are surrounded by the presence of Elohim, and we are Eden. We are his delight. That's what Eden means. So what better reason to rejoice? That's a very happy thing to think about, that today, on this first day, we're surrounded by our Elohim. Yahuwah made a way for us to be redeemed, delivered, and restored through the birth of Yahshua, the vehicle of sacrifice that would restore us to a relationship within the hedge of protection of Yahuwah our Elohim, and make us again his children in whom he delights. What does Yochanan tell us? John, the 1st chapter. It says that those who believe and receive were given the authority to become the children of Elohim. So we have that authority to say, I am a child of Elohim. Now, this statute still applies to us today. As in verse 41, we read that it is a feast to be kept forever. Now, today, as we rejoice, we would waive the 4 species according to verse 40. And this gives us something to think about. And it's something that we should think about as we look at these four species, that we take into consideration how they apply to our lives and how they apply to our relationship, not only to Yahweh our Elohim, but the four species also remind us of our relationship and our responsibility to one another, because they teach us how to fit together as an assembly before Yahweh Elohim. In this, we're reminded as to how to love and care for one another, how to teach one another, how to help those that are not where they should be to find their way to be there. And that the ones that are where they should be should take a role in helping the ones that are struggling to find their way in their relationship with Elohim. So what do the four species tell us? We have the lulav, which is the palm. Okay, the palm branches. We'll open these up on Simchat Torah, but today we'll just use them to kind of show. Okay, we have the hasdim, the myrtle. We have the aravot, the willow, and then very gently and very lovingly we have the etrog, which is covered by stuff, but everybody can see the etrog, that I'll pass it around. You can smell it. You can see that it has a very distinct and flavorful aroma, and actually if you cut into one of these things and take a bite of it, it tastes just as wonderful as it smells. So this is the goodly fruit. But all of these fruits have a meaning, because everything in Torah has a meaning. Everything in Torah is meant to teach us something, and this teaches us something about ourselves. That in these four species, we find four types of people. And we see clearly that we all need each other to grow. Okay? The lulav, the palm has no fragrance, but it has a taste. It tastes like something, it just doesn't smell like anything. And in this, we see someone who knows the Torah, but doesn't apply it. They know Torah, they learn it, but they don't do any deeds. They don't apply the Torah in their lives. We have the next thing, that is the etrog, that smells good, has a nice fragrance, and it also tastes good. That this is a type of person that knows Torah and applies it to their life. In the, let's see, I've lost my place here. In the willow, in the myrtle, there it is. The myrtle has a fragrance but no taste. So it does deeds. It does good things for other people, but it doesn't have any knowledge of Torah. And in the Aravat, the willow, that it doesn't have any fragrance, it doesn't have any taste. And these are the type of people that have no knowledge of Torah, and that basically are self-centered people that don't do anything for anybody else. These are four types of people. We find these four types of people within every assembly. We can't function without all these different types of people. Even the pew potatoes are important. So, and that's something to think about. Everybody has a function. And we are all responsible for helping each other to grow in our relationship with Elohim and to love one another as we love ourselves. So this is something that we think about during this period in Sukkot. So we are thus reminded that both today and in our lifetime, as well as it will be in the garden, that we learn from the Torah and we help each other to grow. So we would pick up this group in here, and we pick up the etrog. We would pick these up where we would recite a blessing. And where it says Adonai, you can write in Yahuwah. I didn't, like I say, I didn't go in